Hey everybody, it's the Doctor here with Typical Manga Fan, and this episode of the Typical Manga Review is dedicated to Inside Mari, Chapter 68, Don't Disappear Again. And our cover page this week is Mari looking through her hands, like you can see like one eye, looks basically looking through her fingers.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this actually kind of comes back to one thing we were wondering about at the end of last chapter, like how much time passed during her moment when she woke up. Because we see Yori kind of like on the floor upset and still in her uniform, while we kind of flash back to the mom just throwing her out.
You know, oh my god, okay. The mom's facial expressions make her look like a freaking demon. Holy crap.
Mommy Titan.
I look back at the previous chapters, the mom's face was so serene and so nice. I mean, holy crap, it's so different. The art style did change a bit,
Yeah.
but holy crap, it does feel like she's a different person entirely.
Yeah.
So,
And
but yeah, I'm assuming that's been like a few hours or something like that.
yep.
And so she kicks Yori out of the house and threatens to call the police if Yori keeps bugging her. And then the flashback ends with Yori still crying, and on the floor. Oh, I'm assuming she's crying. I don't see that. Is there any tears? I don't see any tears, but I'm assuming she's crying.
At the very least, she's definitely upset.
Yeah, because her face is on the floor, and her glasses are off. But whatever. Nah, I don't think she was crying, but just really sad.
Yep.
But anyway, so she gets a phone. She gets a phone call from Mari.
Yep.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yep.
And she accepts, and she asks who. She says hello, and then suddenly we hear we don't hear, but we read the voice of Yori-san coming out of the phone.
Yep.
And she says, Mari says it's me, Komori. So she still identifies herself as Isao, although we all know at this point that it's basically an aspect of Mari.
Yeah.
So
we can kind of it can kind of be interchangeable now.
yeah,
But at any point, Mari / Isao is asking what happened after the Ferris wheel because she remembers getting back from the amusement park, but after that, everything is a blank.
and then Yori's like, "Wait right there, I'll be right over," and she runs like crazy.
Yep.
And I hope that it's like this is a running scene like if it was ever anime like in The Girl Who Lived Through Time,
Oh,
where
yeah.
the main character's just like running for like a whole minute straight or something, just quiet running.
Yep.
That would be actually pretty cool. I would like to see that.
Um,
And so she sees a figure at the end of the alley or the road, and it's Mari,
Yep.
who is actually awake and not catatonic.
Yep.
So you can see Yori's like crying, and she's just the face. You know what I want to say about this is the facial expressions by the author are so fantastic. I mean, every time I was reading past the past few chapters, and me and my friend who were reading it together because she was trying to catch up, were just like, my gosh, the facial expressions on these characters are so amazing.
Yep. Also, for reference, the author's Shuzo Oshimi, if you want to use the name.
Yeah, I usually I can recognize when I read it, but I just keep forgetting how to when I try to remember it without reading it. So and then we see a big double page spread of Yori running into Mari and them embracing, which is a really cool.
Yeah, and I can't help but wonder if there's like some kind of symbolism between the fact that there's like two panels and she's like leaping through them to hug Mari. It's almost like you're looking through a window. Like I said, I'm not adept at symbolism, so I could be overthinking this, but it's just conspicuous.
I mean, keep in mind that Crunchyroll allows us to read 2 pages at once, but I mean, to some people, I
Yeah,
think
but
maybe,
they do double spreads like with Attack on Titan.
yeah, but I think they don't have the border though.
Well, that's the thing. Like this, like it's presented as two separate pages versus like one big spread.
Although it starts from page 13 to 14, meaning that you would actually see them on the same page, and I think that would have to be intentional. It wouldn't have the
Oh,
same.
I'm sure it was intentional. I'm just wondering if there's like any symbolism to doing it that particular way.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, you would see both pages on the both of them both pages next to each other, rather than having to turn, because you just wouldn't get the same emotion otherwise. And so it's a pretty cool emotional double page spread, and then we still see them hugging afterwards, and then Yori asks if it's really Asao or really her, whatever is in there. And then Mari says, "Yep, it's me." And then, of course, next page we get the resolution to Mari's confession a few chapters ago, or like 10 chapters ago, and we have Yori saying, "I love you, don't ever disappear again," and stay with me forever, which is the title.
Yay! And then, well, Mari gives like a kind of a quiet, subdued, okay.
Yeah, but she also cried. She starts crying, by the way. That's important.
Oh yeah, you're right. I can see her eyes watering.
Facial expressions, man. Facial expressions. They're really good, and they're both crying at this point, by the way.
And demonic.
Oh yeah, and then Mari says okay, and then we go back to the house
and
with
her little brother.
Mom, where are you? Mom, you here? Sister, sis, where'd you go? And then you see that there's a note on the top of the table next to the door as he's calling out Mom, and it says, "I went out, Eriko." And at the bottom of that panel is Mari and Yori just holding hands and just like obviously in a very romantic way and just smiling at each other, and obviously you can see. I think
it's very sweet.
It's a freaking awesome, emotional thing.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, okay. So what do you want to discuss first, the note or just the culmination of the Mari and Yori thing?
Let's do the note first. Get that out of the way.
Okay.
Like I said, when I saw the note, I kind of tweeted this at you. Like the first two things, I immediately thought, like regardless of any rational thought, regardless of anything, just actually thinking it through, my first thoughts were either one, the mom is going to commit suicide, or two, the mommy titan is about to go on a rampage.
I'm going to go with the two because number one would just seem so anticlimactic. Like there has to be more to the mom's character development than just that, you know.
Yeah.
And like the thing is, though, she has not come to terms with herself in saying that it was actually her who screwed up Mari or Fumiko originally. So her just dying off without giving that resolution, which just seems so. It's a bad decision to do that, you know.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to do that too. Again, because she has not even resolved that with herself, so she has no real reason to commit suicide. Maybe you can argue that the suicide thing will come after she feels all the guilt, but right now there's no guilt being felt. Like she's furious at any point.
She has not even considered the fact that anything she did wrong.
Exactly. So therefore, there was no reason for her to kill herself, or to want to kill herself. But I'm assuming that she's going to go out to get Mari back and then take her away from Yori in front of her.
I wonder if she actually has gone to get the police.
Or the police. Oh no, yeah, definitely. Well, actually, we can't really get the police because they're not on Mari the Yoshizaki property. So I don't think the police can really do anything about this. Although I'm sure some bullshit reason could be come up with. Can be used. So yeah, we really don't know what she's gonna do. But this is a very looming, very very darkish tone, with full of suspense that is currently trying to kind of overshadowing a little bit of the Mari and Yori culmination.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I didn't really think much of it myself, but you pointed out like the placement of it really like does kind of suggest that, like looming over them.
Yeah, exactly. It means it's literally on top. If you think about it too. The panel, I think that's intentional, because they show that note and then they show the Mari and Yori thing without any type of dialogue, which wants the reader to connect the two panels together. That means the mom is going to probably interfere with what's below. So you see Yori and Mari holding hands, and you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, the I went out note means that she's going to go and try and interfere with them."
Yeah.
And okay, so so I really love this chapter, and
yes.
I asked myself, is it because was I ever in the sense of shipping them? And I actually said no, because to me shipping is like lobbying, you know.
Yeah, I mean you can't really. It's hard to really ship a couple that's blatantly canon.
I mean it's clear that that's what they were going for. Like for example, if you knew the president was going to do something and there was no one stopping him, there's no reason to lobby it, right?
Right.
But there's also no reason to lobby something that you know has no substance, right? That's why I hate arbitrary shipping.
Yeah. Because
it has to be, you have to have reason, and you have to give a basis of why it should happen. And for me, I said, look, it seems like the author wants to do this. Two, the author is being giving hints, so it's not like I'm just coming up with a ship for no reason. And three, it's actually good for the story. Like the story and the relationship have been very well intertwined. So I'm really happy, not because of a ship, but because it is the culmination of chapters and chapters of character interaction between these two, and both individual and simultaneous, like the individual element and a group type, development together. Like their interactions with each other have been causing each other to grow, and
Yeah.
that I think is why the relationship at the end, the culmination is just so fantastic because it really is the icing on the cake. Um, and it was bound to happen too. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, we
so
kind of had that set up as from the point like where we learned about the whole lying down together instant.
yeah, I mean, well, I mean, I think the biggest part was when Mari Isao confessed, because then with the way Yori was interacting with him,
Mm-hmm.
or her, that caused them to really start to grow on each other. You knew it was gonna happen. You could see all the
Yeah.
hints. Um, and so seeing them together, the thing is that, like, a lot of people, especially now, would say, it's great because it's two girls and it's
Mm-hmm.
a lesbian relationship. The
That's
fact
really
that
secondary here.
it's not even second. It's like that the fact that they're two girls doesn't even register in my head because I don't care. It doesn't, to me. It doesn't matter what they are.
Mm-hmm.
I only look at the relationship, and that's honestly what people should do. Like, the problem is that
I mean,
you
yeah,
start.
because if you think about it, this story could just as easily have been done with a guy and the girl.
Yeah, because when you try to shoehorn, I'm not gonna mention series, but when you try to shoehorn relationships just solely because you wanted to show two guys or two girls, it's really in your face about it, and it becomes less about the story than more about you trying to put in whatever political message you want. It doesn't matter whether it's a good political message or a bad political message. It just becomes about the political message instead of it just simply being a natural part of the story.
Yeah.
And it's also in your face, so therefore it becomes obnoxious, and you just don't like it. And it's also often really arbitrary. With inside Mari, it really is just simply because these two at first were on very bad, not very good terms.
Yeah.
But because of the natural interactions, that these interactions were logical in the sense that the way the story was progressing, because they were trying to they were trying to find the original Mari. Everything they did was logical. Everything they did wasn't supposed to be for a romantic relationship. Like, everything they did together wasn't so that they could try to grow closer. Them growing closer was a byproduct of what the main story.
Yeah.
But it was so well intertwined that when you see this combination of character development, it really meshes in and really flows well and combines with what we see as the story proper. And so that's the thing. Like, it's not, romance is not the main priority of the series. It's not the main focus. It's not, it's an aspect that's done very well. But the main focus is the psychology, the identity of finding and the finding Mari and suspense. But it's not so. But the romance does not take over. Does not overshadow it. It simply supports it and supplements it in a very powerful way. And so when I see the end of this, when I see the double epic spread, and also the scenery too, it's really awesome. The sun,
Yep.
it's really awesome. So when you see that and them saying "I love you" to each other, it really is the icing on the cake for this. It's so fantastic. And that's why I love it so much. Not because they're a guy and a girl, guy. I don't care. I care about how they do it, not what they're working with. How they do it. And so I'm curious to see as to where this is going now. Again, one of our friends, Karma, was saying that she kind of wanted this to be full blown Yuri, so she wanted them to kiss.
Mm-hmm.
But I said, like, look, if they kissed, it would be way too Hollywood. It just makes sense.
A kiss, I think it will be coming, but not like this.
Yeah, exactly. I said
Place and
that
time.
too. The problem with the kiss is that usually in stories, it's a climactic type of aspect, or event. So when that happens, it's usually at the end. But we have way more to go. So it's just not. This is not the best time.
Right.
But I like how even when they're confessing, it's not just shoving in all the sex and kissing or whatever. It's they're holding hands, then they'll cuddle a bit, then they'll kiss or whatever, and I even said, like, the kiss will probably come in due time. I did say that it will come in due time probably. Yep. But if it happens, it'll probably happen at the end. It just doesn't make sense for it to happen now, because again, you know that something as bad is going to happen soon. So let's not try to give us something like that too early, only for it to be taken away.
Yeah.
When it's given to us, when the kiss happens, let's make it everlasting. Make it so that it's the final moment, so that way nothing else can come in and ruin it. And so
Yeah, because like I said, I could just see them like any Amorcally Sage series, like having them move in for the kiss, and then that's when the mommy titan shows up.
I really hope that doesn't happen next chapter, because that could still technically happen for next chapter. And they can start kissing, and then Mommy Titan is just like, no, my girl is not going to go out with you, or whatever. And because right now Mari is acting out of her will, like she's acting on her own, on her own free will, and I don't think Mom Titan likes that very much.
Because she's not doing what she wants.
It's interesting. I'm reading when I was reading the first original chapters. I was reading chapter like 14 or something. The mom was just like so nice when she invited Yuri, and she's like, and Yuri's like, "Thank you for letting me stay." And Mom's like, "Oh, it's fine. Anytime. Come back anytime you want." And she's smiling, and they're smiling. It's just wow. This is such the opposite of what happened. Like, I would have never expected the mom to be the one to screw everything up.
Wasn't there even implication that it was the father?
There was a slight like creepy moment when the father came in to ask for Mari, and he's just like, "Hey, Mari, are you free?" And then and everyone's just like, "Wow." The facial expression made him look like a creep, so that's probably why people thought that. But other than that, there was no real evidence.
Right. It was something of a fake out in that case, though.
Yeah. Although I do wonder what he was asking. Like that to this day, we don't know what the hell he wanted. So that's probably why people are still like questioning that.
Yeah.
But the mom was always a little like, she was sad. Because remember when she was telling herself, I'm a Sal. The mom was giving this really solemn look.
And she had the drugs.
Yeah.
That still remains to me like the point that I really started to believe that you were right about that. I think that's the point that it really hit me that because you told me about this theory, I think, when I started reading the manga, and I was like, okay, I'll read it if I see the same thing. But that's when it clicked for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting premise. It tricks you into thinking it's a supernatural manga, but it's not. And again, I've heard rumors that it's actually in the same universe as Aku no Hana.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Aku no Hana is not a supernatural manga at all.
Right.
It's a psychological manga. So, in that case,
and that's kind of like when I try to tell people now and again about this series, and I usually describe it as like it starts out like a with the series that looks like a gender bender, or like the guy is in the girl's body.
Yeah,
but then it turns into something very different.
It's a deconstruction of the typical gender bender.
Yeah. I don't quite go that far with it. I just say like it starts out as one thing, but you give something very different as you go along with it.
Well, actually, I think actually, is the word deconstruction or subversion? I know subversion.
Deconstruction means that you're taking the premise or taking the idea and treating it as if it were happening in real life, as if it were like actually happening.
But it kind of is.
Yeah, and so it would definitely be a deconstruction in that sense.
Yeah, but it's definitely because and essence deconstruction also like it's about psychology and learning about themes and all that and how they interact with each other too.
It can. I mean, it depends on how big into it you get.
I mean, I really think Inside Mari still fits in both the category of subversion, which is a definite because it is a subversion.
Yeah, subversion means like when you think it's being played and you get something else entirely, which definitely
it's a subversion. It's definitely subversion, but I'm also going to argue this is deconstruction too. I'm going to argue that, yeah. I think, I mean, it's all very about, it's very all themes, a lot of psychology, and it is about breaking it down and seeing what's part of what's working inside the cogs, what's all that stuff that's putting the story together, all the pieces and how they're interacting. I think you can make that argument.
Yeah.
This is really, I'm gonna lie. Even though the manga hasn't ended yet, this has really been, I think, a really underrated manga. I mean, I only started reading this manga out of just like curiosity, because I was kind of like when I was reading Okahana at the end, I was just like, what the frick was that about?
Yeah.
And then like I'm reading Inside Mari, I'm like, oh, a gender bender. Well, that's kind of weird because I don't think this author would ever do something like that. Let's check it out.
Turned out he didn't.
I mean, even the other one, in Happiness, you do have supernatural, but it's still not a typical supernatural. It's kind of
I haven't really been following up on that one, to be honest, but yeah.
It's effed up. Let's actually he has done supernatural stuff before a lot actually. He did a one ecchi one that's just really like for comedy purposes, but
right.
This I think this here is the icing is like a really a different type of thing altogether. So along with I think that the ones that I think people know him for in terms of psychology is Drifting Net Cafe, Aku no Hana, or also known as Flowers of Evil, and Inside Mari. So I think that's about it in terms of what I have for Anytime Mario. I basically just I talk the shit out of this chapter. So.
Yeah, but you really enjoyed this chapter, so I don't mind sitting back and letting you do it.
I mean, it's well, I don't like shipping, and I still don't consider this to be technically a ship.
Mm-hmm.
But when a good the romance is such a it's overused and everything. You always have to have that stupid kiss at the end, and it's poorly done off so many times that I sort of gave up on a good story that deals with romance.
Mm-hmm. But here we
and
go.
now that I see one that wasn't really that it didn't even promise that. It's just like no, it's just about psychology. The romance in all reality is just it wasn't technically necessary, but it's there to really help the story. So this is romance, in my opinion, done right. Mm-hmm. And this is not very common anymore. Romance being done right.
That's why that's one reason I love Oregon Monogatari, my love story. I mean, it's a very different story from this. It's more comedy than anything, but still, it's a very sweet series. I mean, at worst, they're like really sickeningly sweethearts about it, like sugary sweet, but it's adorable and funny, and I love it.
Yeah. So yeah. Mommy Titan will probably be. You sound like a zombie from The Walking Dead. You know that?
Well, given her face, that's not too far either.
Yeah, true.
Alright, but as you've been saying, that's pretty much our review of Inside Mari, Chapter 68. Don't Disappear Again. Go ahead and take us away.
Bye.